Hello, everyone. You're watching my favorite YouTuber. I would like to begin with some little thing called the Marvel's SDCC of 2022. We're all anticipating that this July 26th, that about a month from now, we're 2 months from now, we're gonna have this huge event. Hall H is gonna be jam packed. Enthusiasm will be at an all-time high. This is where announcements like Robert Downey Jr. is back and the announcement of the Russo brothers will be here. We're changing the name of the Avengers movie to Doomsday, or even announcing Avengers movies themselves. Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con has been the hub. And I want to show you an article from Marvel's website, which is still up. Salute to them for not erasing some of their stuff the way MTV did. The Marvel website keeps these archived articles. And I will be on the right side of the screen. There we go. Not covering too much. What we're doing first, and DC, you'll get your turn in a second. What we're doing first is we're reading what San Diego Comic-Con presented to us in 2022. The failure. All of Marvel Studios news coming out of Hall H SDCC. They gave us the Multiverse Saga. So I think that this was the first time we've ever used that term, was it? Maybe it was the year before, but it said Infinity Saga is what happened with all the stones. Multiverse Saga is the next one. That was announced at a Comic-Con. Mark welcomes you to Marvel Studios Saga. So they announced a She-Hulk Attorney at Law. That was part of their slate. And it came out, didn't it? How do you feel about the She-Hulk show? If there's a fan of the She-Hulk show, I got some people in my live chat now. Welcome. Please tell me how you felt about this show. When I'm measuring successes and failures, I think of She-Hulk in the failure category. I think episode 3 was the one that broke me, and I was like, what are they doing? It felt like they were intentionally reaching out to, and maybe, what's the word? Publicizing, promoting, platforming. There it is. That's the P word I want. They platformed and they recognized that side of fandom or that part of humanity, that portion of the zeitgeist. Why would you ever have them be a character on your show and reference them? And what do they call them? The not Illuminati, this intelligentsia. They gave these guys a platform. It was terrible. Wasn't a very entertaining show. The parts with Daredevil were great. They announced Secret Invasion. Now, the Secret Invasion is a comic book line. There's supposed to be scrolls. There's supposed to be hidden secrets in previous projects. That's Secret Invasion for you. When I saw what I saw, they just took away from past. Rhodey, James Rhodes, War Machine, this whole time he was a Skrull. So the emotional moments we had with him after he lost his legs, how we were kind of happy he got his legs back when we saw Infinity War. He increased his walking. All of these things that took place didn't really take place, and there's been no solidifying what exactly is his status. How long ago was he turned from a Skrull into a Skrull? They also changed Everett Ross and all. And you know, I wanted them to change Peggy Carter's Sharon Carter. Sharon Carter could have been a nice Skrull the way she was acting in a Brave New World in Falcon Winter Soldier. That would have been an awesome switch. That would have been a cooler thing. World leaders are all Skrulls. Yeah, well, I would love if T'Challa was a Skrull. That would be awesome. They chose not to do that. So the Skrull thing just wasn't hitting the way that we wanted it to hit. Secret Invasion is failure number 2. So if you're just joining the stream, we went through She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. We went to the Secret Invasion part of the presentation. It's going to come on spring of 2023. It came and it went. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. If I look at the box office results for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, that speaks for itself. It's $476 million for a February release, which is actually better than Captain America Brave New World did. But that numerically is not successful. I actually thought the movie was kind of fine. A lot of people don't like the film, and I'm like, I didn't really mind it. It felt like a Ant-Man film to me. It was just nothing special, nothing great, nothing to write home about. Ant-Man Quantumania was a failure. Does anyone in the live chat agree or disagree with that? It's live. What's going on? What's going on, WZ? The next Marvel announcement was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. What a turn of events. What a turn. Guardians 3 was a quality film. Now, it wasn't anything that I would say is the best 5 movies from Marvel. I wouldn't call it the best 5 movies of the 35 movies that they've had, but that's not an insult because most of their movies have been good if you count them all up. Guardians 3 was an emotional movie. Silver Wishes, how's it going, Chill? It's going good. Guardians 3 came through. It was an experienced director who's done 2 films before, which is kind of why I'm happy that Destin Daniel Cretton is doing Spider-Man. He's experienced. He's had one movie, which would be Shang-Chi. Then the TV show is Wonder Man. He directed a couple episodes there. He's experienced is all I'm going to say. He knows what to do, what not to say, how to work things out. And I got a tuft of hair on this side, and it's like popping back out and popping back out. Does that mean I got to cut my hair? There, I tucked it behind my ear. It's going to pop out in a second. Ant-Man 3, a box office failure. It only grossed $437 million. Yes. The first one in this $500 million. I think the second one was $600 million. And so there was a decrease in interest. Ant-Man 3 was a box office failure because they put $200 million worth into this film. You can't just be pulling 437 when your marketing budget is factored in. 437 doesn't recover the costs. The expenses were too high. You didn't have to worry about that with Guardians. This thing grossed 800 million. I want to say 800 million. I know my numbers. This was an 800 million movie. Guardians 3. Yeah, we're at 845 for Guardians 3. Not everything was a failure on this list. Some of them actually, we need to look back and say, wow, what a great move. I wouldn't have changed Cosmo the space dog into a girl dog. And looking back, maybe he did that because James Gunn knew he was going to use Crypto and he didn't want to have another male dog. So he was like, we'll change this one. Inclusion, right, Kevin? Right? You like women, don't you? And Kevin's like, sure, of course. Absolutely. That's why Doctor Strange couldn't be in WandaVision, because we like women. That was Guardians 3. I'm going to change my screen. I hope this works when I make it full screen. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We go to the next failure. Echo. Echo was a TV show. Oh, by the way, this would just make me upset if I talked about it. Echo. We go to the next TV show where it was a 5-episode drop, I believe. It all came out on Hulu and Disney. And they started experimenting with something called Marvel Spotlight. You don't need to know any other knowledge. It's called Marvel Spotlight. We're branding it Marvel Spotlight. That's what'll play right before the episode. Marvel Spotlight. Who knew that, though? The people you're trying to appeal to, those casuals, the ones who don't want to do homework or they don't need it to be required, they didn't know that you were making a show called Marvel Spotlight. Echo, you didn't know that stuff. It was useless. It was actually misunderstanding what the problem is. The problem is that your diehards, Chillmonger, won't watch this show because nothing in it has to do with the incursions and the overall story. The majority of the characters that you have here aren't going to show up in other things. They just had Kingpin in this. So because it was so far and distant from the attached storytelling world, which has made you a my bad. My microphone went out, and I'm not sure how long ago it went out, but here I'm back. I like your idea. He changed the dog's gender for Crypto. Yeah, that's what happened. So Echo was the thing that happened and took place. Defend this movie this TV show if you liked it. Kingpin was in it. Yay. You know? Next failure. Low-key. Season 2 was announced. So I'm someone who doesn't like movies and TV shows that dip out of space-time, that go to some unconsequential places with variants of characters that we all know. I don't like mystical fantasy realms. I don't want to spend too much time there. If it's a means to a story being told, let's go to the TVA, let's fix something, and we're good. But spending time in the void and in spending time with a Loki girl who's not really Loki. We have the variants of Loki. A variant is cool for making me laugh. That's really about it. Wasn't my cup of tea. I remember seeing the Kang character, the He Who Remains character, and that was a tease because He Who Remains was a version of Kang who died. And we actually got him again for season 2, right? People like this. Enough people like this. Viewership was up compared to the other Marvel TV shows. I can't call it a failure. I can just tell you I was disinterested in it. But I think if all of the TV shows like Agatha did what this did what this could accomplish, they'd be happy over there. Wall Street article really tried to make everything not be Kevin Feige's fault. The buck stopped with him. That's why it's time for him to go. I can elaborate on that. You're allowed to make mistakes and you're allowed to flop. When you plan Brave New World, when you plan Thunderbolts, that was your idea. I don't care if there was a writer's strike or not. You said this movie will work. This is what we're gonna put, and you had the rights to the X-Men from 2019. You still didn't do that. I have to look at you sideways. When writer strikes happen, and you could have reshuffled things, you still decided to do Thunderbolts, and you're gonna suffer for it. And we, the audience, have paid our money, and they're only at 350 million with the Thunderbolts. We've paid. We just told them not what we're looking for. If there's any good graces left, if there's any chances left, if he's on strike 2 and strike 3 and you're out, I think Fantastic Four could be that strike 3. I think that'll be that strike 3, and then he'll just be told Avengers is your final movie, and then you're gone. He should be told that. There should be consequences to your actions. But SDCC this year is going to be really important. So thank you for that comment to make us think about it. But SDCC this year, will he say that there's going to be a movie, World War Hulk? Did they figure that out with Universal? Is he going to say, okay, Robert Downey, fine, we'll give you your little percentage off of the box office, Ryan Coogler. Okay, Robert, we're going to give you the Ryan Coogler deal. Come back, Iron Man 4. Hey, Chris Evans, yeah. How's the rest of Hollywood working out for you? Yeah. What if we gave you like lots of money and you can be Captain America? Yeah, we're talking lots of money. Okay, good. If that's the phone calls that are happening this week, so that he can appear at SDCC, Cap is back, and he comes out with the shield. Yeah, that would be an awesome thing because making money is simple when you're only doing 2 or 3 movies a year. Every May, you get an Iron Man, a Captain America, and then an Avengers. That's 3 years I just took care of. Now, what you sprinkle in on the side, a Blade movie maybe, X-Men movies, Guardians 4, you assume Doctor Strange, Thor. There's characters that you can make some money with that are not so risky. Shang-Chi shouldn't be so risky if you have a Chinese market. Like, they didn't have it last time around. If they had China, they'd be great off. So that's 3 movies every May, and he's surrounded with things that you can take a risk for. But these 3 movies will increase the fan enthusiasm of the brand. So those 3 movies every single May, you feel me? They would be perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. They won't do it though. They'd rather, do some Midnight Suns. Not Blade, Midnight Suns. Starring Blade. There goes Loki. Hey, speaking of, so Mahershala Ali stars in the upcoming movie, arrives in theaters November 3rd of 2023. They have the audacity to tell us that back in 2022. So that was in July of 2022, and 15 months later, the movie that they said was coming was not actually coming. It didn't come in 24. It's not coming in 2025. This movie is delayed indefinitely. This is what failure looks like. When you go in front of the stage and you tell the people that are there, who are fans, who are enthusiastic, we love Mahershala Ali, Blade is going to be in our cinematic universe, go, vampires. And in that time to now, a Sinners movie was planned with Michael B. Jordan, and Delroy Lindo was in that movie, not to this one. And it was a very financial, successfully $350 million grossing film. or even more when you have a Sinners movie like that coming out. We can compare Blade and we can extra mustard say that this thing failed with extra mustard. Dijon mustard. Mustard! That's how much Blade failed. Hey, yo. He failed to listen when fans was telling him about the MCU villain problem. That's going back to Dark World. His ego gave us the middle finger. Yeah, I'm pretty down on Kevin Feige too for his performances. And if he just recasts T'Challa, if he just does the things that the fans are looking for, like villains who are memorable, who return, if he gets quality directors, if he can just sign Robert Downey for the money that he won't get doing Dr. Dolittle 2 direct to Disney Plus, if we can get Kevin Feige to manage properly, he'll have saved his job. But maybe his ego says, no, we got to still make the Eternals work. We can still do the Thunderbolts. Maybe his ego will do that. Riri Williams, Ironheart. I still have the comic book next to me, so I can't call this one a failure. I think we need to see whether or not it does have viewership when they do the charting. But Ironheart, Riri Williams, that character appeared in Wakanda, whatever, and that's probably the best I could say about that. Mentioning that thing will piss me off. Like I said earlier, that's why I skipped it. Will this be a failure? We'll find out. The treatment of her and how they've been marketing this Ironheart show was very non-existent until about 45 days away from the release date when they finally gave you a trailer for Ironheart on the same day that the Superman trailer comes out, which divides people's attention. Like the news reporter is going to talk about and a brand new Superman. That's all for entertainment news because they don't have time to talk about the Ironheart TV show and everything. But that people don't see it that way. I actually had a live stream a couple days ago talking about that specifically on Friday. Go check me out. The Ironheart show may be a failure. They're treating it like a failure, and it's tracking towards failure territory. It was Agatha all along. This is arriving in the winter of 2023. That sounds right. Maybe it came out this year, though, or 2024. Not winter of 23, but it came out 2024. When was Ironheart supposed to be out? Arriving in the fall of 2023. Yeah, this thing has been delayed by 2 years because it's going to come out in the fall or the summer of 2025. 2 years of delays for them. But not Agatha. Agatha didn't get delayed by 2 years. They were like, no, white property comes first. Covenant of Chaos, you can come out a little bit later. Let's just talk about this. Didn't watch it. And I watched like the first episode of it, and I remember learning and hearing what other people said about this show, Agatha Covenant of Chaos. And from my experience and from what I've picked up, this show is just we go to another dungeon, we go to another house, a haunted house, and we solve the problem here. There's a puzzle that we got to resolve, and then we got to go there. And it didn't even happen in the real world. And so, again, this is why I don't like Loki. I don't like this. I don't like storytelling happening in a vacuum, in a fictional other worlds. I want it to all be real. I want if someone gets their hand chopped off, their hands chopped off. I don't want fighting the Sentry in his mind. I don't want these kinds of stories. So Agatha all along did nothing for me. Nobody made me go back to watch it. I found out no Wanda was in it. How is this attached to the greater storytelling? Actually, it's been a big reveal from Kevin Feige that he isn't going to care about the TV shows. All of them will be filler material, essentially filler. We might mention the movies on our TV show, but no movie's going to reference the TV shows, just like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., just like when Daredevil was on Netflix. They never stopped the plot to talk about something that took place on a TV show. And if that's the level of care you got for these TV shows, guys, it's called the MCU. I like that it's a universe. I like that everything this is in New York, then that's also in New York and Spider-Man. I like that. And so with knowing that the TV shows have been looked down on for years now, that's how I think about Agatha all along. I don't believe in trailers because they don't exist anymore. I call them spoilers. Don't be so pessimistic. Some trailers are really good and make you interested. Sure, scenes will spoil the movie, but as long as you keep things in the first act, then we're fine. She's a great character. Let's give a chance. Are you talking about Agatha or are we talking about Ironheart? If you're talking about the character, giving the character a chance, and will I like it, will I not like it, that is potential for every TV show, no matter what the genre is. If you're talking about, never mind, let's not even get into race. Big Dog Gaiman says, I just don't want a recast. I just don't want a recast of King T'Challa. I want to see a proper King T'Challa who is true to the character in the comics. We must be clear about what we want. We want to see the true representation. Be more clearer than that. I just don't want a Oh, I'm reading it wrong. I think I know how you said it. I just don't want to recast the King T'Challa. I want to see a proper King T'Challa. Yeah. It doesn't just stop with you've recasted him and that's fine. Because if you recasted him and he acts different, you wouldn't want that. You're talking about Ironheart? She's a great character. Let's give it a chance. Okay. But let me shoot down any hope that you have for this. We know what a push looks like. We know what an investment looks like and when they care, how it turns out. We also want black characters on our TV. Blue Marvel's a great character. Photon, she's a primary character in her franchise. You could do Luke Cage. You can, and I'm not even talking TV show. I just mean movies or TV shows if they care about TV shows, consequential TV shows. We have T'Challa. We have these great candidates, and I don't see Riri Williams as that, based off of the way they treated her comic books, based off of the level she is at after Wakanda Forever. No one talks about her in any of the other projects. She's irrelevant. At least they got to Tiamat eventually with the Eternals. They don't get to Riri Williams Ironheart. So to say that she's a great character, let's give it a chance. How about let's not give it a chance? And then I'm just proposing this because I respect anyone who wants to watch the show. She's black. You gotta watch. You can't let them say it flopped. How about letting it flop? And then showing that with the numbers that it flopped, that it didn't work, showing Marvel that, damn, this show doesn't work. No one interested in our black characters. We haven't cracked the black code when it comes to TV. What can we do differently? How could we, and then get them to creatively think and go, oh, well, how about we include Wakanda on a Shuri or Okoye type series? Maybe T'Challa can be recast. Maybe we got to think differently because we can't look at Ironheart failing and go, black doesn't work. We can't be that dishonest with each other because we know that there are great streaming shows with black leads that are working as of this month. I'm talking about Forever on Netflix. It's a boy and a girl. They're in love with each other. They break up. They travel. It's you. They kiss, break up, love, on and off, texting each other. There's a great TV show like that, Young Romance. There's countless other examples like Cross, which is on Amazon Prime. So why could these other streaming services get it right with these black leads, but we can't? So there's an audience for it, and it's not working. That's why if Ironheart does flop, that's the lesson we would be teaching them to do. We'd say go back to the drawing board. It's not Ryan Coogler's fault because Ryan Coogler made Sinners pop off, and he's probably going to be an executive producer in the Delphi gym with Creed. It's not anyone else's fault except for us making a show about Ironheart. Let's try this again with Blue Marvel and see if the audience will come, because it's not a derivative character of an existing white IP. The disrespect on black characters MCU is sickening. Oh, Brother Voodoo, there's another character who is melanated, who could, don't treat him like he's Doctor Strange Jr. Brother Voodoo could definitely be a character with interesting enough plot. A character who can take off. Would they do a movie with him? Most likely not. They're not even getting T'Challa right. Here we go. I was waiting for you to write something back. True. But the character still deserves to be one universe. To leave her out completely is pretty whack. True, but the character still deserves to be on universe. To leave her out completely is pretty whack. There's some characters I can think of leaving out completely and not thinking that it's whack. Some of them are named Toussaint. Yeah, we can leave her out. Agatha Coven of Chaos. No. Daredevil Born Again. Original series arriving spring of 2024. This arrived earlier or later than spring of 2024. This came like in March. So we watched it. We saw Daredevil. It was pretty lame. I remember hearing that Kevin Feige, was upset with how much was shot. And he was like, no, change it all. We're going to change episode 1. And then we'll use all the other footage you've already shot to kind of piece together a TV show together. This show came out. It was not a success. It flopped. It didn't have high ratings. Daredevil Born Again, as we analyze Marvel's failures, is officially one of them. They didn't do what the Netflix fandom created. It didn't carry it over. Another one. What were they doing at SDCC 2022, bro? And then we're getting a second season, by the way. They're filming it now. And they're showing you Jessica Jones is back. They're leaks, but you know that they advertised that on purpose. They got those leaks out. Now it was Captain America New World Order. New World Order. Hey, yo. Sam Wilson is the new man with a plan. And this is coming in May of 2024. It actually came in February of 25. Writer strike, actor strike. And they changed the title, New World Order, and it flopped. It only grossed $400 million. They lied to us about the budget. They lied to us about reshoots and how extensive they were. They shortened the movie's runtime to get more screenings. It grossed $414 million. This thing was a flop and a half. And maybe the evidence, this proves to the studio, we the fans aren't into mantle swapping characters. I can tell you that because in the featurette for Riri Williams Ironheart, back to Ironheart, they said, nah, she's not carrying the Iron Man mantle. She's her own character. And they said that like that's how we're selling. It's a good thing that we're using to sell this movie on, this TV show on. All right, that means you learned that the Falcon thing, he's carrying the mantle of Captain America. That's not working anymore. So you said what you said about Ironheart showing how original she is, means that you're backing off the stance that mantles work. Secondary versions of original things work. Rooting for Ironheart and Wonder Man, Eyes of Wakanda. Oh, but you're Kevin Davis. You're like an operative who promotes Disney content on everyone's live stream on their channels. You're rooting for Ironheart, Wonder Man, Eyes of Wakanda to be success for Marvel Studios on Disney+. Majority of the audience wants these projects to fail to teach Marvel Studios a lesson, and then you created a narrative that doesn't exist. So I clicked on your thing without reading your name, and I wouldn't have clicked on it if I read your name. But the jig is up. I don't think this is a real person whose name is Kevin, last name Davis, who comes in here with a honest discourse. I've seen too much from this account. Kevin Feige don't want to hire great writers to write black characters in the MCU. Because if he did, he would have hired great writers for them. If that's in regard to Ironheart, I haven't seen it yet. And I can't insult Shinako Hodge. Vin Diesel came up with a better idea. What he did was show the first 10 minutes of the movie online, hoping that would spark interest. And in my opinion, it worked. But if you showed a trailer, you would be spoiling things that happen in minute 45 and in minute 100. But if you just show up the full beginning of the movie, it may make people interested. I've seen people do that before. I think, though, the way that you cut trailers up, and they're supposed to be for commercials in between a break, you cut trailers up for different purposes. You can't just always expect someone to be there for 10 minutes. What's good, chill? Happy Monday. What's good? I accept what it is, but in the comics, I didn't like the characters of. So that's Brave New World. We can say that's a failure. The Thunderbolts came out. An exciting new group of heroes arriving in theaters. It arrived in theaters, didn't it? We're sitting at 355. The Thunderbolts film is pretty much done making its big money. It got 2 million on a Monday. Next Monday, that won't even be 1 million. It won't be no holiday. It'll just be a dud of a Monday. We're at the points where there's going to be days where it's only grossing $1 million a day. Actually, there was one on Monday. There was one on Thursday. We're down to where every single day will gross 1 million and then not even 1 million. So that 355, maybe that's going to finish off at 390. Maybe. If you include the international audience, which is half of the audience, we could be able. Yeah, we're at a part where this movie might not look to make $400 million. This is disgusting. How could we possibly go and lie to ourselves and say that the Thunderbolts was successful? Because on Rotten Tomatoes, they sure did say some nice things. Oh, gee willikers. You can't call it a success. I'm going to go ahead and say that Thunderbolts was a fail. At SDCC, they said that this thing was coming in July 2024. Nope. Deadpool and Wolverine actually got this date at SDCC. Here come the Fantastic Four. Marvel's first family arrives in theaters November of 2024. It didn't. It's so interesting for them to keep every single one of these dates on their article. It didn't. So they didn't make that time. Then they said production kicks off next year for the feature film that introduces Marvel's most iconic family. This won't be a failure. If it's good, I think that enough people will come and pay to see the movie. This thing can shoot. Let's reach for the sky. They keep this in theaters. It does what Minecraft can do. It hits that 900 million, maybe $1 billion. Fantastic Four are a brand. People have watched them on the TV, and they've had 2 movies with Silver Surfer and the regular one. Then they had the reboot, which no one really watched. So does it really hurt the brand, really? But they've been in ours, and comic book wise, if everyone knows them from there, people have watched the Fantastic Four in the 90s TV show, the cartoon. They've even had another updated like anime cartoon too. So the Fantastic Four are in our memories. The brand is powerful. If the movie's good, they'll be good. It sucks they have competition of Jurassic World coming out like 21 days prior. It sucks that Superman Legacy is going to come out also in the month. And there's 2 movies, not to mention 28 Days Later and some of the other big movies. It's a big summer. I'm forgetting them, but I probably Lilo and Stitch will still be in movie theaters by then, by July. There's going to be a lot of competition. That sucks for the Fantastic Four, but it's July where people are off school and they can go to the movie theaters. Fantastic Four will not be a flop. It won't be a flop. It won't not break even. That's what I'll say. I still think Superman makes more and Jurassic World makes more. But we don't have the proof yet. I can't tell you that it's not going to be a flop. Avengers Kang Dynasty, hilarious. They did not go forward with Jonathan Majors and Kang, but they also decided that before his guilty verdict of reckless, unintentional assaults. Then we got Avengers Secret Wars, and we hope for the best for these 2 movies, that they've got the Russos, which they announced a couple of San Diego Comic-Cons later. This MF, this guy here, fuckface here with the hat, who decided T'Challa needs to be dead. This guy's job should be on the line. A lot of the things that he announced in this were a failure. And if James Gunn would have done something like that, we'd look at James Gunn sideways. But let's look at James Gunn. Let me open that screen. And I didn't feel like all new, all different Marvel run other than Power Man and Iron Fist. The race swaps hurt the character's individuality. Mighty Thor was okay. I'm very curious how Warren feels about Kang getting canceled. He's got no choice but to like it. He's going to get Doomsday. I don't like Kang time characters, so I was good with him not being in it. But I wasn't good with the treatment of the actor. But creatively wise, yeah, sure. Tombstone can be made into a Kingpin type character in the Spider-Man movie. He's a long-standing black Spider-Man villain, sorry. Yeah, Tombstone could be that, but Tombstone also isn't like a big enough character. His skin tone is like different. So when I say black character, and then do I really want black representation any way I can get it, even in villains? Or do I want black representation in like happy, loving characters who are, you feel me? I don't just want black superheroes and black supervillains because I want them to be there performing in a way that would make your parents proud. I'm going to DC, James Gunn, Slate, Gods and Monsters.
I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's one of
It's been disconnected in film and television. And actually, one of the things I'm doing, Peacemaker, is disconnected. And all these shows, Aquaman's coming out later this year. It's been disconnected. Blue Beetle's coming. It's Shazam's disconnected. He's so stupid. He did. Oh my! Who asked you to do this in January of 2024? You could have waited.
Our jobs, mine and Peter's, is
23.
to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation.
When he said gaming, I said, this is the king. Even gaming?
That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. Then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid.
Dog, the way he just said things. I'm sorry. I saw that it was muted. The way that James Gunn just says things, where the Shazam character, he's always been outskirted, so that's fine. What basically what he told us we can say now was, if the movie that has my wife at the end credit scene, if that is good, I'll keep it. But Flash is gonna reset things, which I guess it kind of did. It was a whole multiversal thing, and then by the end of it, they had another Batman character played by George Clooney coming in. So yes, everything that he's saying eventually did happen, but he made you want to believe that Flash would continue. He's resetting it. He'll even be in the new one. He's not in the new universe. They knew that Ezra Miller would watch this, and they wanted to tell Ezra Miller something that he could I'm resetting it. I've got an important role in this thing. Bruh.
Who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So Peter and I, along with a group of...
So he said Aquaman 2, which leads us to the next projects. Again, saying that Aquaman leads to a next project implies that it's part of the same universe. It was not.
Very talented writers have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming.
Started to map out.
This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter.
Understood. So even from the beginning, everything that he told us wasn't cemented. And we did get Creature Commandos. Some people liked it, but no, we didn't really watch it. A lot of us didn't talk about it the way that the channels weren't popping, okay? But people covered it, sure. I can't call it a failure if I haven't seen it yet, but I can say that it didn't capture everyone's imaginations. We look at Superman Legacy as the main beginning of this. How about this one?
In live action. The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up.
If you heard what I heard, he said, played by Viola Davis. They trimmed out and changed his words. That's not what he originally said. He probably said played by, maybe he said, who is it? Viola, yeah, that was her name. Viola Davis. That's why it sounded so weird, and I'll play it back. I'll rewind 5 seconds for you. You can see that once he's off screen,
voice as who plays them in live action.
You can see that they trimmed it.
The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis.
You heard it, right?
This is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker. And this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it.
So if she's teaming up with Peacemaker, maybe Peacemaker season 2 will lead to what he's talking about here. Let's wait for Peacemaker season 2 to finish, and then we can say whether or not he was full of it there, and if there is plans with Viola Davis to play Waller in a TV show called Waller. Can't call him a failure just yet, because he, unlike Marvel, I can't blame him for the Aquaman stuff and the things that were coming up earlier this year. Unlike Marvel, he was planning 2 years in advance.
Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy.
It's not called Superman Legacy anymore. You changed your mind. It's called Superman.
Being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025. Okay, the next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU.
This is actually happening. The Lantern show was filmed and they casted, so that's good. That he's made up on that. Now we get to something that I have not seen any casting of. I forget what this is even called.
Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is a
Now he goes to Paradise Lost. The Authority, Paradise Lost, some of these characters who are lesser known. What was he thinking then? I don't think he can think that anymore after Thunderbolts does what it did. We can't look at things and go like, well, Guardians worked. We can't look at that anymore. Guardians worked because Guardians had very high enthusiasm for the brand. We don't have that no more. Thunderbolts proves it. Creature Commandos, which you said surprised you, still didn't perform very well. And the Suicide Squad movie with a bunch of people who are... Harley Quinn's a pretty big name, but didn't really do very well. She's a good costume. People like her for that reason. But she didn't do good in Harley Birds of Prey. She didn't do good there either. With her ensemble cast. A lot of these ensemble cast movies, Paradise Lost, The Authority... give up on them if they're movies or if they're TV shows. Go, James. Go, James. Go.
Story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island. The introduction of the DCU's Batman is the brave and the bold.
We are nowhere near this. We're nowhere near
the
anything.
Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is Gold.
And then we got Booster Gold. And then we got Supergirl,
Here
Woman
was
of
Tom
Tomorrow.
King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents. Where Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way. So she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing.
That Swamp Thing being the last thing, I don't think it gets made anymore. He did say it was Elseworld, right?
We're going to talk about a very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories.
Never mind. He said tonally, not totally, tonally outside of the DCU. These shows, Brave New World, where you got the Batman's son, except they don't treat him like they want to treat Toussaint over at Marvel. This show isn't happening, hasn't happened yet. We don't even know what's going on with Matt Reeves' Batman. Booster Gold, I heard rumors that Booster Gold will be cast as Kumail Nanjiani. Doesn't look like Kumail Nanjiani, doesn't look like this character up top. Then I'd be fine if they don't do that. I'd be fine if they only use the heavy hitters. So yeah, while Marvel failed at San Diego Comic-Con, James Gunn's been failing in his announcements coming to fruition. He also announced like a Clayface or Sergeant Rocks. He announced that, or there was an exclusive report, a script was written. That's not happening anymore either. There's been some failures in management of things getting out, being promised or getting out by scoops that aren't coming into a complete product being seen in front of us TVs and movies. Marvel sucks and DC sucks too. Who sucks less? Don't even let me get started on Star Wars. Because they're the king. Lucasfilm, maybe I should say, is the queen of not having things come out which you announced to come out. We're in a terrible place on our entertainment space. It's incredibly demoralizing to love a genre and get lucky every now and again. And it sucks that X-Men 97 was probably one of the best things of Phase 5, Phase 4, whichever, post-Endgame. It was one of the best things. But my morale was so low, I didn't even care to get hyped for it. But when it came. It was a great 10 weeks. It sucks. This is where we are now. It's a terrible place that we're at, but we got some other things that we can enjoy. Like I mentioned, Cross on Amazon Prime. Like Avatar, with the James Cameron Blue People Avatar, which is having a movie this year. And they got a movie every 3 years at Christmas. They also got Avatar, like Airbender, Aang. That movie is coming out. It got delayed, but it's coming out. We get to revisit Aang. We have franchises out there that are doing it for us that we may be interested in if we're into supernatural or even just good TV or great representation. I talked about Harlem. Harlem is a great show on Amazon Prime. If you want representation that shows you Black people who've got jobs for a living and are not seen as victims, there's no trauma. There are shows like that exist. Some of them get canceled like Papa's House, but there are shows like that exist right now. Shadow Force, if you want to watch that movie, check it out in the movie theaters before they pull it, but it'll be on streaming anyways. Shadow Force is good representation, so pull it up on your streaming services, whatever country you're in, and check out Shadow Force. We've had Sinners come out, which was good stuff. I could do without the Klan. I never want to see a movie with Klan in them, even if they're getting their asses kicked. I still don't want to see it. No, don't show me images of cotton picking in your movie. Come on. But it's a good movie, right? Not going to mention anything Tyler Perry. We've had American Fiction came out in the last couple of years, and a guy won an Oscar for that. So the Oscar winner, Cord Jefferson, I'd like to see what you got cooking. There is 10 episodes of Ianu, which just ended. You can stream it on HBO Max. Next time I do a stream, I might have to talk about this, but yes, you can binge it now. A second season, it was been renewed. That was a Black comic book character who's now a part of Cartoon Network's lineup, and she'll be promoted that way, and she's coming back next year, and she'll have reruns, and we expect next season to have more viewers for this show because more people will catch on. New audiences will come. Kids are basically a new audience. So if people multiply, so we'll have more kids next year than we do this year. This show could be doing better. And enough word of mouth, we can spread word like we did for My Dad the Bounty Hunter, which is on Netflix. So there's good representation out there in pieces. I would love for Marvel to be the one doing it, fucking cast T'Challa at SDCC this year. I'd like for DC to provide something like Static Shock or some lead character leading a video game. That would be cool. Static leading a video game or a movie. Not so much TV, because I think TV is treated as if it's just TV. You guys hear me? There's nice things to be proud and happy about, and we should be recommending and consider this channel a safe, happy place for sharing great representation. Always leave a comment. What about this? Hey, have you seen that? If enough people recommend something, what I'm going to do, check it out. So consider that what this channel is as we go into the next year and as we roll into SDCC. Thank you for coming. Stay woke. Recast T'Challa. Trending day. is July 1st. On July the 1st, we're going to make Recast T'Challa trend. That is the anniversary of his first appearance in the Fantastic Four 52. That's when T'Challa first appeared 59 years ago. So we're doing that on July 1st. Schedule your tweets now for the morning of July 1st. It'll be on the day of Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. So on that Tuesday, 10 a.m., make sure you got your Recast T'Challa tweet ready. And then watch me and Fatal J. Me and Fatal J will be back like 3 hours from now, roughly. We'll be back on my live stream. And so there's more Chillmonger coming today. Who said you only got to stream once? All right, fam. Thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you, WZ, for being here. Big Dog Gaming, Jadex. Thank you to the Suburbia, Jones Effect, Nerdy Brew, Dot, Takaratori. Thank you for coming to the stream. Appreciate the time you had with me. Appreciate that you guys listen. People who watch me on the playback who are like, oh, 51 minutes with Chillmonger. Yay. I hope that you watch me at 1.5 speed because time is precious. And I always watch long live streams that way. We'll be back later today. Deuces.